The Grand Senate of the Galactic Coalition had never experienced such silence. 300 representatives from across the known galaxy sat in stunned bewilderment as the massive ceremonial doors groaned open with a sound that echoed through the crystalline chamber like thunder. She walked in alone. The human female moved with purpose down the pristine white corridor that led to the central speaking platform. Her boots, actual leather boots, archaic by galactic standards, clicked against the polished floor in a rhythm that seemed to match the collective heartbeats of every being present. She wore simple clothes, dark pants, a worn jacket, and carried nothing but a small data pad clutched in one weathered hand. Senator Zethkar of the Altarian Empire was the first to break the silence, his four arms gesturing wildly as his translator crackled to life. "This is impossible. The humans have been extinct for over 2 centuries. We have documentation. We have proof." The woman stopped at the center platform and looked up at the tiered seating arrangement that surrounded her. Her eyes, those distinctly human eyes that the older senators remembered from historical records, scanned the assembly with calm determination. "Senator Zethkar," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics without any need for amplification. "Your documentation is incorrect." The Vexthari representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with agitation. "We have surveyed every known human colony. We have scanned Earth itself. Nothing but ruins and radiation. The humans destroyed themselves in their final war 300 years ago. 312 years ago, the woman corrected. And yes, we nearly did destroy ourselves. Nearly. She activated her datapad, and holographic images filled the air above the assembly. The images showed settlements, space stations, ships, all bearing the distinctive architecture and design philosophies that had once been uniquely human. "Allow me to introduce myself," she continued, her voice never wavering despite being surrounded by species that had once feared humanity's expansion across the galaxy. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Human Remnant Coalition. I represent approximately 47 million humans scattered across 18 hidden colonies in what you've designated as dead zones of space." The Krillian ambassador, his insectoid AI features clicking nervously, leaned forward. "Impossible. Those regions are uninhabitable. The radiation, the spatial anomalies, are exactly why we chose them," Sarah interrupted. "You see, when humanity realized we were losing our war, not against you, but against ourselves, some of us made a different choice. Instead of fighting over the scraps of a dying civilization, we decided to disappear." She gestured to the holographic displays, which now showed the harsh environments these hidden colonies had not just survived in, but thrived in. "We learned to live in the places no one else wanted. Asteroid fields that would tear apart your ships, the radiation zones near dying stars, the dimensional rifts that your species avoid out of superstition and fear. We didn't just adapt, we evolved." Senator Quinn Ada of the Peaceful Merchants Guild, her blue skin rippling with nervous patterns, spoke up. "But why reveal yourselves now? Why after all this time?" Sarah's expression hardened, and for a moment, every being in the chamber was reminded of why humanity had once been both respected and feared among the stars. "Because," she said, "you've started moving into our space." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices, translators struggling to keep up with the mixture of protests, accusations, and demands for explanation. Sarah waited for the noise to subside before continuing. "For 2 centuries, we've watched you divide up our former territories. We've observed your expansion, your politics, your wars. We've learned your languages, studied your cultures, and yes, we've prepared." The holographic display changed again, now showing detailed intelligence reports on every major species represented in the chamber. Military capabilities, trade routes, diplomatic weaknesses, information that would have taken the Coalition's intelligence services decades to compile. We know about the Zephyrian rebellion in the Outer Rim. We know about the resource crisis affecting the Titanoid colonies. We know about the illegal experiments the Vexthari have been conducting on dimensional technology. She paused, letting the implications sink in. We know everything. High Counselor Brexithal, the ancient leader of the Coalition, rose slowly from his seat. His species, the Eternals, were among the oldest in the galaxy, and his voice carried the weight of millennia when he spoke. "What do you want?" Sarah smiled, the first genuine expression of emotion she had shown since entering the chamber. It was not a threatening smile, but it was not entirely friendly either. "Recognition. Our colonies exist in spaces you've written off as uninhabitable, but they are still sovereign territory. We want those rights respected. We want trade agreements established. And most importantly, we want representation in this body." "And if we refuse," Zethkar demanded, "then you'll discover that extinction reports can be greatly exaggerated," Sarah replied. "We've had over 2 centuries to prepare for this conversation. We've developed technologies born from necessity that make your current defensive capabilities obsolete. We've learned to fight in environments that would kill your soldiers before they could even deploy. But more than that, we've learned patience." She deactivated the data pad and tucked it back into her jacket. "Humanity didn't die in that final war, Senators. We simply learned that sometimes the best way to win is to let your enemy think you've already lost. The question now is whether you'll welcome us back as equals, or whether you'll force us to remind you why the galaxy once feared the tenacity of the human species." The silence that followed was deafening. 300 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy sat in stunned realization that they had just been outmaneuvered by a species they had written off as extinct mythology. Finally, High Counselor Brexthal spoke again. "We will need time to discuss this proposal." Sarah nodded and turned to leave. As she reached the great doors, she paused and looked back one final time. "Take all the time you need," she said. "We've already waited 3 centuries. We can wait a little longer." As the doors closed behind her, the Grand Senate began to understand that the balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically. Humanity wasn't just back. They had never truly left. They had simply been waiting for the right moment to remind the universe that reports of their death had been greatly exaggerated.